Hello, everyone. Welcome back to apparently Mrs. Rediger's Shakespeare story time. This is reading number 3, and I'm going to try to be quick. This is the list of people that we will have this week. We're going to have Sir Toby and Sir Andrew, that's Bennett and Taylor, making trouble, along with Feste, the jester, that's Noble. And Mariah comes in, that's Charlie, and then she gets added into the mix. Malvolio, who is Colton, is going to show up and put an end to all the fun. In the next scene, Viola, who's Greta, will be talking to Orsino, the Duke, while they are at his court. So they'll be back at his house with the musicians. And with also included will be one of the servants who kind of hangs out with Sir Toby and Sir Andrew every now and then, and that is Fabian, who is Harper. So that's what's going on. Let me read through it rather quickly. I have all of your lines, and I will send them to you separately. David is going to help me act a little bit of it out. I'm just going to give you some direction notes so you know what to do. This first scene is very exciting and lively, so you guys are going to have to really put in a little bit of effort. When we come back, we have left Sir Toby and Sir Andrew and Feste the jester at the table. Feste has just sung a sad song, a sad love song, and the two older men are sitting there being a little weepy about it. And then all of a sudden, and this of course is late at night at Olivia's house. Everyone's asleep except for these three guys hanging out in the kitchen. You can see our table here. Here's our candle, and we've got our 2 drinking glasses. So this is what's going to happen after that sad song. So I will replay this part again. We'll have our table in the front. Eve and probably Ren will need to help me with some stage management. So Eve will take the table out when we don't need it anymore. I'll let you know when these clues are. So, melancholy was soon blown to the winds because these 3 began a mad song that went around and around like a blindfolded child at a birthday party, which required much banging of tankards and stamping of feet to keep it in motion. So what's going to happen is Feste and Sir Toby and Sir Andrew, they're standing by their table swinging their mugs and banging them on the table and stomping their feet, while Noble is going to be strumming frantically his ukulele, and they're just kind of being crazy for a minute. Then all of a sudden, Charlie, Mariah, comes in and she says, "What a caterwauling do you keep here?" Mariah is a morsel in her shift, and she had to shout to make herself heard, so you're going to have to be loud, Charlie. For the revelers had awakened the house, but she was too pretty a complainant to be taken seriously by Sir Toby. Sir Toby staggered up to his feet, caught her up in his arms, and you guys can just take hands like this, caught her up in his arms, and then he danced her around the room, singing at the top of his voice. So, Bennett and Mariah are going to be dancing in circles around the room, and Sir Toby's like la 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 la, being crazy, and the other 2 are sitting over here drinking out of their mugs, and every now and then they bang the table or stomp their feet, and they appreciate Sir Toby's bad singing. Then she says, "For the love of God, peace!" Peace means be quiet. She shrieks this, but in laughter more than in reproach. So she's not really mad at them. She thinks they're funny. Then the uproar was at its height, and Feste was capering. That means Noble is dancing around. Sir Andrew was whirling like a blown leaf. So he's twirling. David's helping me out here. And the very plates upon the table, the very cups were jiggling up and down. And at that moment, there appeared in the doorway a most fearful, dismal, chilling sight. Malvolio was in his nightgown, and every inch of him expressed outrage and indignation in the middle of the night.
All of his malvolio.
He stood and surveyed this lunatic scene. "My masters, are you mad?" he says. And then he went on in dreadful tones to threaten Sir Toby in his mistress Olivia's name with eviction from her house unless he mended his ways. "Dost thou think," returned Sir Toby indignantly to Malvolio, "because thou art virtuous, there shall be no more cakes and ale?" In other words, you think we're not going to have a good time because you're so great? Malvolio ignored him, and after having expressed strong disapproval for Maria, he expects better of her. She was party to this drunken disorder. He stalked away like a ghost to the tomb. Maria is angry, and she shakes her fist at him, and she says, "Go shake your ears." And then, exasperated by this pompous steward, she confides in Sir Toby a certain plan she has devised for humbling that odious man. She was going to write a letter in her mistress's handwriting containing a passionate declaration of love for a person not named, but warmly described. She would drop this letter directly in Malvolio's way. Such was his vanity and high opinion of himself that when he picked it up and read it, he would unfailingly see himself as being the object of the Countess Olivia's love. The conspirators beamed happily at one another at the prospect of Malvolio's antics when he believed his mistress loved him. They're going to make him think that Olivia loves him with this mysterious letter. Then there's a scene change. So at that point, Evie's going to come out. She's going to take away the table. She's going to wheel off our cart. And we will have a scene change. So all of those characters will move to the back, and our new characters will move forward. So while Sir Toby and his companions were plotting to make free with Olivia's love, Viola took back the refusal of it to Duke Orsino. So Viola's on her way back to talk to the Duke. Her feelings were mingled. She was a little saddened for the sadness Olivia's message caused her master, and thankful that it gave her hope of one day gaining Orsino for herself. The Duke would hear none but the most doleful ditties, and so his musicians, Evie and Lulu, were sitting in the back with their ukuleles, and they're strumming. Not happy, crazy fun the way that Noble was. They're going to be doing it very slow and dolefully, and he only wants to hear sad songs. And he bade his page to go to the Countess Olivia once more to plead his love. He's telling Cesario, who is Viola, go back, tell her I still love her. "But if she cannot love you, sir?" said Viola gently. But the Duke would take no such answer. So Viola, as nearly as she dared, tried to turn Orsino's thoughts towards herself. This is another big, well-known section of this play. And so I have this written out in our famous lines, I believe it is, for Greta to say. For Greta and Orsino will read back and forth in this part. And let's see. And it goes like this. Oops. Viola says, "My father had a daughter loved a man. As it might be, perhaps were I a woman, I should love your lordship." Orsino says,
"And what's her history?"
Viola says, "A blank, my lord. She never told her love, but let concealment, like a worm in the bud, feed on her damask cheek. She pined in thought, and with a green and yellow melancholy, she sat like Patience on a monument, smiling at grief. Was not this love indeed? We men may say more, swear more, but indeed our shows are more than will, for still we prove much in our vows, but little in our love." Orsino says,
"But died thy sister of her love, my boy?"
"I am all the daughters of my father's house, and all the brothers too, and yet I know not." She is saying, if perhaps I were a woman, I should love you. The Duke gazes curiously at him and starts to ask these questions. Viola, very mysteriously, feels grief sweep over her when she thinks that she is the only remaining survivor of her father's household. She thinks that her brother Sebastian is dead. She turned away to hide the sorrow and the love that she dared not show. She can't show her love to Duke Orsino. And she was thankful to escape Orsino's eye, even though her errand to Olivia's house was even less to her liking than before. He sent her back again. Now, the Countess Olivia had a garden, so now there's a new scene, okay? New scene. So we're going to watch Greta walk from Duke Orsino's house on this side of the stage over to this side of the stage, and in the middle is going to be this garden, okay? The Countess Olivia had a garden where close-clipped trees made green secrets of the avenues and walks. Here, Sir Toby and his companions had hid themselves, and they were peering eagerly through a latticework of branches. For Malvolio was coming, and the fateful letter that Maria had written lay directly in his path. So, Sir Toby, Sir Andrew, Fabian, and Maria are all hiding behind some bushes to see what Malvolio's going to do when he finds this letter. So that's what's happening, is they'll be hiding behind some bushes. I have some bushes that I'm going to bring. He came, a blot of ink upon the bright morning, with his shadow in close attendance like an admiring pupil. He was in a gravely sauntering mood, with his buckled shoes making directly little patterns on the path. He was communing with himself aloud. He's talking out loud to himself. So, Colton, you can kind of be like, yes, I'm feeling so wonderful today. That sort of thing. And he imagines he's the only one there. He thinks only the trees are listening to him. First, Maria was in love with him in his mind. And then, advancing further into the dreams in his head, he was Count Malvolio. And he had been married to Olivia for 3 months. So in his mind, and he's talking out loud about how he's the Count and he's married Olivia now. He was richly dressed in this dream, and he had just summoned his wife's uncle, that'd be Toby, to stand before him in penitence.
So I can guess that he's gonna
Cousin Toby, he murmured reproachfully, you must amend your drunkenness. So now he's telling off Sir Toby in his dream, in his mind. Oh, Sir Toby's like, Urgh. So Maria and Toby and Andrew are all standing behind the bush where Malvolio can't see them. And they're going, Urgh. And they're all annoyed with Malvolio for saying these things out loud. Let's see. Malvolio had seen the letter. He touched it with his foot. And so we'll have a letter. I'll have a big scroll laying down on the floor, and Evie will help us drop it there in the middle of the floor. Or Ren, because Evie might be busy being a musician. So we'll drop that there in the floor, and then Malvolio, who is Colton, will just come sauntering across it and bend down and pick it up. It'll be a scroll, and he can untie it, open it up, and then you'll have lines written right inside of it, which will make it easier for you, Colton, so you don't have so many pieces of paper. So I will still cue Colton as to when he needs to read, okay? And so he reads this, and he immediately recognizes Olivia's handwriting. With shaking fingers, he breaks the seal, and he reads, Jove knows I love, but who? There, following some riddling lines that ended with M-O-A-I. M-O-A-I doth sway my life. He cogitated. Malvolio thinks about this. Long and deep. He's thinking really hard. And then, with a burst of excitement, he gets all excited. He realizes that M-O-A-I are all letters that are in his own name. He reads on. And every word he reads convinces him more and more that the letter was from his lady Olivia and was meant for him. So he thinks Olivia is in love with him. If this fall into thy hand, she wrote in the letter, revolve. In my stars I am above thee. But be not afraid of greatness. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. Then in the letter she urged him to be haughty in his manner, for was not his future golden? He should smile in her presence at all times to show that he returned her love. And she earnestly requested him to appear in yellow stockings that are cross-gartered.
Aha.
That means yellow socks that are crossed, that have garters that hold them up, that are crossed around his legs.
So that's what the crazy malvolio
That's
socks
what the socks
were
are for. I have socks for Colton to wear next time. The solemn steward, Malvolio, transfigured with joy. He hopped. He danced. He skipped. Hopefully, you don't need to act it up quite this much, Colton. I think you'll know what to do. And he kissed the letter, mwah, and pressed it to his breast. His dearest dreams had been fulfilled. He would be his mistress's master. He's going to marry Olivia in his mind, the lord of the mansion. He kissed the letter again, mwah, and black and flapping capered away. Now, Mariah and Toby and Andrew have been watching all of this from behind the bush, and they think it's hilarious. So every now and then you guys need to stop and go and point and laugh at him, okay? Quietly. And then, this is what Mariah says. You guys will come out from behind the bush, and you'll talk. And Mariah, Charlie, your last line is this. Mark his first approach before my lady. She promises, as they came out of their hiding place, they are weeping with laughter. They think this is so funny. He will come to her in yellow stockings, and 'tis a color she abhors. She hates that, hates yellow. And cross-gartered, which is a fashion she detests. So, they've got Malvolio all set up to look like a fool. And they've been laughing at him behind his back this whole time. And we'll see what happens next time. Okay? Any questions? Let me know, and we'll see you Friday.